My name is Irene Lopez de Vallejo, and as Thomas said, I'm Spanish. I live in London. I'm connecting from London today. That's where I happen to live. I joined Ocean Protocol 8 months ago, and I'm here today to explain the vision and the mission and some of the details around the technology. Why are we doing what we are doing, and how can this help your community and the people that are connecting today? I would like to start with some reflections on some of the things that Aaron presented before around convergence and some of the ideas that fed into the origin of Ocean Protocol that come from a book called From the Second Machine Age. The Second Machine Age, it's a book that actually paints a picture. It's an old book. Yeah, it was published in 2016, but it actually laid the ground for ideas that have had an echo in particularly around policy makers, policy developers, and technologies that are concerned around how we are living an inflection point, or how we have come to live in a point in our societies and economies that we have a number of technologies converging and coming together to actually create new opportunities for economic and social development, and how this has changed the way we actually do business and live. But it's also opening new opportunities to change the way those ways of doing things and doing business are taking place. And so we are witnessing this evolution of what we know as web. Yeah, this global digital infrastructure that we use every day for pretty much everything and anything, and that takes our time and captures our attention. And we've lived through a number of iterations on the web. So we went through Web 1, that was a pure information exchange mechanism, towards Web 2, where social connection was the main promise. And we have seen how Web 2 has failed in many ways, and how new technologies that have emerged and are converging at the minute are actually bringing new opportunities. So we have new opportunities to do things better, protect privacy, open up and challenge the current asymmetry in our data markets. And that is the consequence of the convergence of these three technologies that Aaron was mentioning before. The production technologies, IoT and next generation computing, the distribution technologies, so crypto, blockchain, DLTs, and how those can actually help us to manage data in secure manners and in ways that haven't been possible before, and how the AI is actually improving and getting better, and new opportunities are being created in the side of the consumption side of technology. And these three things together create a new environment where the opportunities for creating new economies are here, and new economies, and particularly emerging data value chains. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. In the data economy and in that context, the opportunity actually comes from sharing data. And the situation is that data is growing exponentially, and you are witnessing that, and you know that. But only a very small amount of that data is being analyzed and is being shared, and there is a possibility to access it at wider scale and without friction. And that is something that creates some problems, some asymmetries in the markets. On the one hand, artificial intelligence is actually starving for data, and data that needs to develop and further and become more accurate and develop faster. And there is a disconnect between AI and data, and we have on one hand AI startups and researchers that have algorithms but have no data to be able to actually develop it. And on the other hand, we have many corporates, multinationals, and large SMEs that have data and they know how to take advantage of it because they don't know how to share it in secure ways. So there is a disconnect between these two worlds. So if the world is like this today, we at Ocean world a little bit more equal, because the monetization and the value creation of the convergence of those two bubbles and those two technologies or areas of technology are actually monetized just by a few global organizations. So in Ocean, what we are really trying to solve is the problem of data availability and data availability for the development of AI, democratizing access to data, democratizing the development of AI. So in the data sharing area, we can say that if we want to enable data supply chain, so this is not a new challenge, or this is not a new problem. Companies have been trying to share data effectively for many years, but current methods for data sharing, in general, don't give data providers the assurance or the comfort to share the data. Yeah, and this is an interesting market and technology failure. It's a combination of both. Data providers, organizations with data need to feel safe when it comes to sharing data. Yeah, and those 7 points that you can see on the left of the screen are the 7 very well researched and proven problems or challenges that companies see when it comes to data sharing. Control of the data, losing control, the security aspects, being able to audit and track the data, transparency on the whole process. How do you price data? What are the pricing mechanisms so that can be put into place? Compliance. So in Ocean Protocol, it came about and was born to actually solve this problem. And Ocean came to be as a foundation, private non-for-profit foundation, in November 2017, so just a year ago. And it came through the efforts of 2 startups working on data marketplaces and blockchain and AI, then came together to create the Ocean Protocol Foundation. And the mission was very clear from the beginning, was to unlock data for a broader range of people and organizations and leveling the playing field to many different organizations globally to access to data and to be able to use it in a world where privacy is a must. So privacy goes first in the design of our protocol and network, where we want to actually spread wealth and spread power and make it something that everybody can use with utter respect for the law, as much as we can in this fussy regulatory environment. And that is something that all these 5 points are points that we embed in the design of our network. Ocean Protocol solves the problem of data sharing for all stakeholders involved in the process. And I'll talk about the ecosystem angle. It's a decentralized data exchange protocol, allows data to be shared in a safe, secure, and transparent manner. It enables the connection of different type of data providers and data consumers of data, and it provides open access for developers to build services on Ocean. So Ocean is an open source initiative that everybody can actually contribute to. We say and we believe that the future of data exchange is decentralized. And the reason for that is that despite them having been specific examples of data sharing that have worked at very monolithic and very specific centralized ways, this is not something that can be done at the scale. It cannot be automatized. It cannot be done with as little friction as possible. And it's very difficult to track and audit and verify. It still is a very point-to-point kind of like type of relationship. And while this works in very specific environments, what we want is to create, as I said before, an open, large-scale, automated way of doing this for the wider benefit. So using decentralized data exchange and decentralized technologies allow us for automation, having a global play, being able to set up pricing mechanisms that are interesting, are more fair, and revolve around the quality of the data and the use of the data in context, provides immutable provenance record and provenance, a cryptographic proof, and it allows for that ecosystem that I was mentioning before to be incentivized and work around each motivations while benefiting the whole. So in the ocean ecosystem that you can see here, it's like the bottom of the ocean, right? So we have different layers of actors that contribute to the whole data sharing, data exchange proposition. And at the core, we have the keepers, the nodes, the validators of the network, the people that provide the cryptographic proof and verification of transactions. And then we have the partners and the collaborators that work around the protocol implementation side of things, where we have the open source, the protocol itself that is open, and the developer tools to actually interact with the protocol. We have ecosystem providers, so groups or groups of interested parties, we call them tribes, that gather around marketplaces. And around those marketplaces, we can see emerging a number of constellation of service providers that bring specific services on each marketplace and can move around different marketplaces thanks to the protocol that provides that layer of interoperability. And then we progress to the next layer where we have the ecosystem users. We have the data providers that publish data. We have the data consumers, can be people in your community, data scientists, AI startups that need access to data and go around and hunt and look for the data that they need, and curators that actually perform a really important role in the ecosystem, because those are the different types of organizations or individuals that provide the curation services around the data sets and allow for data to be discovered and the quality of it and the context of it assigned. And at the top layer, we have general beneficiaries, which are the general public, because this is a project, it's a global project that actually intends to solve some of the most urgent and pressing problems, societal problems globally, and has the potential to do that around the data commons proposition, helps businesses to actually become more transparent and access to data and do more interesting things with the data. And it has governments that are working around what type of regulations and what type of conditions these type of initiatives need to operate in. So if you think about this, on what are the opportunities to build on ocean or to contribute to ocean, so you can see that there are different, depending on what part of the ecosystem you operate or you might want to operate, either providing unique data services or operating marketplaces, discovering data, monetizing on data assets if you have them and you know how to actually activate them, or solving challenging use cases. But there are new opportunities that we haven't been able to map, and that will come, no doubt, through the use of the protocol and the technology. One slide on the token. The Ocean Protocol token is the means of value exchange and network incentivization. So it is the internal currency to the protocol, but it's more than that. It actually helps with the incentivization mechanism, in the curation mechanisms, and it acts as a glue between the different parties to actually come and perform the different activities together. The data asset access is important to data providers particularly, because the protocol provides a very granular a way to control access to the data. So when we talk about providing access to data, that access is controlled by the data provider. And this is a feature that actually is very interesting for the data providers. Benefits for people that work on the data science side of things. There are three main benefits. So there is more data potentially accessible through the protocol when we launch in March next year. more commons data via network rewards, and actually having enterprises be assured that there will be less datascapes thanks to the capability to do on-premise computing. The second benefit is actually quite interesting for companies that want to understand the data life cycles and how data actually travels and moves around different models, and the complex provenance that is provided, the capability for complex data provenance is a very interesting capability of the Ocean protocol. Finally, there is this issue of actually the income opportunities and the new opportunities that come to develop new services around data cleaning, labeling, and curating and serving data in the ecosystem. And we are hoping to get a number of interesting. We are working with some partners actually to provide the first services when we launch. We would like to ask others to come and join the network when we launch to offer this type of services. Very quickly, because I think I'm getting out of time, a demo use case. This is of something we are experimenting with between 3 hospitals in 3 countries, and data coming from motion sensors. This is used to understand Parkinson prediction. And the data comes into store that is stored by this particular organization. It's a hospital, which is a research center in Singapore. This center registers the metadata as an asset on Ocean. That becomes discoverable in the network. Data scientists can discover it. They buy a request to access to that data. They get it, they use it. They load it on the data science environment. They work their magic around the models. And once they actually produce a new asset, that asset can be registered in Ocean. Again, it becomes discoverable as another different type of asset, but you can actually track the provenance to the first data set in the system. This is a simplified architecture of the data marketplace, where you have a publisher of data, a consumer of data, and you have a data science environment, secure, and a service provider. Yeah, and all that operates on top of the Ocean decentralized keeper network. Another way to look into this is through the blockchain substrate, where we have the 3 layers of keepers, verifiers, and curators interacting and providing a layer of different services in the data exchange process between the data scientists or data consumers, data owners, and service owners. Roadmap, very quickly, we launched Trilobite 2 weeks ago. It's out there, ready to be used and experimented with. And our mainnet will be live 31st of March next year. So we have 3.5 months to go. But the most interesting aspects of the current release is the asset discovery. We have launched the initial curation tools and a simple marketplace. So I encourage you to have a look and see what sort of things you can do with it. Got a couple of slides on use cases. We are developing in Singapore, and in collaboration with the Infocom Media Development Authority, a trusted data framework. And that is something that we are doing in collaboration with corporations that are interested in these challenges. Responding to some of the questions that they are concerned around the data sharing process. This trust framework is going to be distributed under an open license, and we hope it's a blueprint for other governments to actually take inspiration and regulate in an interesting, innovative way this type of experiments at the national level or regional level. With the IMDA in Singapore, we are running 7 development sprints, which are regulatory sandboxes for data sharing. And we are focusing these efforts in these areas: mobility, financial services, built environment, agri-tech, retail, utility, and healthcare. And if you want to know more about any of these, just let me know. We also work with the AI Commons. We are building a data commons change, and we are very much involved in providing the infrastructure, the public utility, to actually help the AI Commons to achieve its mission of democratizing the promise of artificial intelligence, which is something that we are very committed as a team in. This is another interesting initiative we are working with. These are automotive providers that are developing autonomous cars, and they have realized that none of them individually have all the data that they need to develop the technology, and they have come together to develop a joint proposition where everybody give control access to the data, and they allow the computation and the AI to travel to the data. I'm pretty sure I'm out of time, but Thomas is not coming to tell me otherwise. Just a few slides on how can you contribute. GitHub is there, so you can go in. It's open. You can check the code. You can provide input, and please, those of you that are involved in this type of work and open source development, come and check it and contribute. You're very welcome. We have launched an ambassador program that covers a number of cities around the world, and we have just onboarded 132 ambassadors. Some of you might be on this webinar connected, and I say hello to you. I hope to meet you little by little, all of you. This is a great program we are launching to actually raise awareness of these issues globally and in different cities around the world. We have bounties, technical and non-technical bounties, and I wanted to announce that we are launching 3 bots bounties in the next couple of weeks, so please keep an eye on Gitcoin. For those, there are at the minute 8 bounties that are live. Again, please check them and see what you think, if you can solve them. We also work with the Bounties Network on the more community and innovation engagement side of things, and we have 4 bounties live at the minute. Please go and have a look and see if you want to work around them. We have an Ocean Protocol Open Waters bounty, and that is one that that was the first one we launched to actually give the opportunity to the community to come with ideas, to enhance, integrate, develop connectors, or do something crazy in or on ocean. And please submit your ideas. We will assess them and try to actually work with you on them. The Ocean Protocol blog is this main source of news. So if you're interested in what we are doing, pretty much every week we have some interesting content, either very technical, product related, community engagement related, and it's always worth to keep an eye on the news that we are launching. And because you've got to this point, pretty much because you cannot interrupt me, I would like to raindrop or airdrop this community. We would like to. So for the next few hours, only for the next few hours, if you send your name and surname and your email, obviously, to raindrops@oceanprotocol.com with the subject bottish, name, surname, an email to raindrops@oceanprotocol, you will be able to claim 200 Ocean tokens because you were connected all this time listening to me. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you understand and like our initiative and join us to build a new data economy. Thank you. Thomas? Are you there? Yes, you are. Okay.
1 second. 1 second.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just need to.
Sharing.
Yeah, you need to stop now the slides.
Okay.
Hey, perfect. yeah, we are a little bit out of time, but no worries, because I didn't want to interrupt you. Let me just yeah, we have some questions and comments, but yeah, due to the time, I believe I will take some of this to the panel. But yeah, there are people asking like, yeah, open data initiatives like governments. Do you have to be a private person, or how I can contribute as a private person?
Yeah,
How does the incentive works? And yeah, a lot of questions. I would say, please ping Irene, or I take some questions to the panel, because now we are already switching to the next session, which should have been started 5 minutes ago. But no worries, very interesting. Thank you very much, Irene. Very interesting. So and yeah, great news for the bounties. So use this opportunity and write the email there, and looking forward to the panel. So talk to you like in 90 minutes again.
Okay, cool. I'll be connected. Sorry,
okay, thanks guys. And now switch please to the next session. Give us about 5 minutes, and we are a little bit delayed, but we will be back to the next session then. Thanks, Irene.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye bye.